congratulations on the film. I had a chance to see it at MIFF this year, and I don't think there was a dry eye in the house when the film finished. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about where the journey for you started with this film.
Yeah, so it was quite a journey for me because this is my first feature, so I think, I think the leap from the short films to the feature film is always a bit of a journey for each filmmaker, for every filmmaker. So, yeah, it was like that for me as well. So I spent, quite some time on the script. And it's sort of, I don't know really, it's hard to describe, but I've started to explore this, this point of view of a child who finds herself alone inside of a family where something happened and the adults are preoccupied with, some sadness or something that they can't quite share with the child. I've started exploring this in my short films already, and so Moja Vesna somehow came from that, it's just a continuation of this in a longer form. Yeah.
Was there something that sparked your interest in that as a topic? Was there something from your own life or something from someone that you knew's life that kind of sparked that interest?
Yeah, I drew heavily on my own childhood, but not in a sense that, I wasn't using events that really happened to me, but I was drawing more on the emotional landscape of it, like there was a lot of grief in my family and even in my parents' childhoods, for example, and this kind of travels through the generations, and so a lot of unprocessed grief, we had trouble talking to each other, sharing the feelings that we had, and so there was certain loneliness that I knew as a child, and just kind of, I feel that I know this position that I'm, the position that Moja is in the film. It's something that is very personal to me, and then from there I then came up with this fictional story. And I wanted to have these two sisters in the as the main characters. This is also, I also have a sister who's 10 years younger than me, so I kind of have this experience of having a sibling who is much younger. So I was playing with that as well.
It was such a personal story. Did you find that made it easier to write the screenplay or harder? Because I've known for myself as a screenwriter in the past, there's been things that I've wanted to write about that have been very, very personal, and I've sat down and I just look at an empty page for ages and ages. How did you find that process of writing such a personal and emotional script?
Yeah, it is a little bit tricky when when you're using personal stuff, but then on the other hand, this was just what felt the most alive in me. Like it was the thing that needed to come out, at that point in time, and also because it's not my, I wasn't. It's not like my biography or anything like that, Yeah. I made up these events, so I gained a bit of distance doing that, and then also I like to write scripts in a way that is that leaves a lot of space for other collaborators. Like, for example, when cast comes on board, especially working with non-actors, with children, I find this to be really important, that once I have these specific people that are going to be embodying these characters, then I like to rewrite the script as we go, as we rehearse, and I just I like to respond to these real things from the environment, also the set, and set design and just real locations that come. And yeah, I like to do a lot of rewrites, and so the story becomes more and more fictionalized in a way, or it moves further and further away from my life, if that makes sense, from something that is personal in a sense that is like a projection of my life or something like this. I'm more interested in collaborating together and finding a story that it still has something personal in there, but it's very much fiction.
Yeah, you mentioned also taking that big step as a filmmaker from making short films to making your debut feature, and we have a lot of young filmmakers that listen to this show. What was the biggest difference that you noticed going from making a short film to making a feature when you actually were in the middle of making this film?
Oh, there was so many things. I don't know where to start. The first thing was, even writing the story, just kind of figuring out just the plot, how to fill, like, for some reason, my short films were very minimalist in a way, so I never had a problem. Some people talk about their frustration with short films where they try to squeeze as much story in as possible and they don't have enough space. This wasn't my experience. Like I felt like I had enough space, in the short films. And then, so somehow it was a little bit of a struggle for me to find enough story, for a feature film. I think this is because I'm interested in more than in a plot. I'm interested in creating a certain atmosphere, and emotions and kind of I like to play with this less is more approach, where you don't have a lot in terms of the story or the plot, but there's more like an atmosphere.
Definitely.
That the audience can then immerse themselves in and kind of bring their own projections or feelings or life experience to it,
Definitely.
Yeah. And then the other thing was just in terms of working with children. I've never done 25 shooting days with one child. It was like 5 days max for on a short film. So this was a huge kind of challenge, for me. I mean, it was great. Like working with Lottie, who plays Moja, was so nice. Like we were so lucky to have found her. But I was anxious about how I was going to go. What happens if, like, on day 10 she doesn't want to do it anymore or something like this. It's always unpredictable working with kids. Yeah.
How did you go about casting the film? Because Lottie and Mackenzie are brilliant in this film. How did you go about the casting and finding the right people to play such important roles? Yeah,
casting was really the key thing in this process. I mean, I always see casting as like the most important point in the process of making the whole film, actually, especially when working with with kids, non-actors. So yeah, I was just I was so happy to be working with Fiona Dan. She was the casting director, we had big auditions and we looked far and wide, like throughout the community. So Slavic communities and migrant communities here, because I was hoping to find someone who can speak one of the Slavic languages. I wasn't hoping to find someone who's actually Slovenian Australian, because the Slovenian community is so small, and I was looking something so specific, for a child who has not only got a acting talent, but has got something very particular, particular sensibility, that would work well in this role. And so then it was like a miracle that we found Lottie, and we found her really fast, like almost straight away. And I couldn't believe that was it, so then we kept looking. I wanted to make sure that, I don't know, I just wanted to look, to see who else is out there. But then once we had the first in-person audition, and she actually came into the room, and she had this amazing improvisation. She did this improv with another actress that we had there that went for 10 minutes, and it was just, at the end of the day, that was the only thing that stayed with me, She totally overshadowed everyone else, she just had something that just totally was captivating and special. So, and the same goes for Mackenzie. Like, she also had something very specific. She stood out from all the other candidates in some, I don't know how to describe it. She just had the right, the right thing for Vesna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened with this film that doesn't normally happen with people's debuts features is that it got to premiere in Berlin. What was that journey like for you as well, being able to see your film, your labour of love, screening at such an important and prestigious film festival?
It was amazing that we selected. Like, I was, so happy. And to be able to go there and even though we, it was this, so this was this year in February, and so the COVID thing was still very much there. So the festival was very strict with COVID rules, and a lot of the crew couldn't come because of various restrictions on travel and things like this. So it was a bit of a weird festival, but it was still amazing to be there, and it just means a lot. Where there's so many films out there and so many amazing films. It's just I don't know. I just feel incredibly grateful. The film was noticed in that way.
Now, the film is about to get a wider release in Australia as well, which means that there'll be a lot more people being able to go and see the film. How do you feel, and what would you like to say to people who are about to sit down and watch the film for the very first time?
I'm just really excited that it's coming out here because, we shot it here, and so, it's really nice to be able to show it, and I hope that people come and watch it. And it's it's a film that it's very emotional, so the people that it resonates with, or that they really seem to be quite moved, which is nice to see. We had a lot of reactions on the screening so far at festivals and stuff where there was quite a lot of emotion in the room by the end, this just means the world to me, that someone that it actually communicates with people on that level, so I hope people go see it and